Good morning and welcome to another Studio Jumpstart session with Steph and Sarah. Um, like we always do for Studio Jumpstart sessions, we'll be doing some sensing, some scribbling, a writing prompt, and then when we're finished with the writing, you'll hear a little bell, and that's the time to move into silence and working in your books or visual journals. At that point, Steph and I pause our recording and we go and work in our books, and then we come back and finish the recording with an after studio session sharing. So if you don't want us to yak through your studio time of silence, in silence with your book, you might want to pause the recording and then join us again when you're done working. So the other thing I wanted to mention is we've been doing these every month, so we have many of them, not many, but many to us, on Creative Nectar's YouTube channel. So if this is a way of working that is satisfying for you, you might want to check out other videos if you haven't, and you'll get the same thing: the sensing, the scribbling, the writing, and an after studio conversation. And this is really a way you can cultivate what we call the work that we use for our practice for going inside and cultivating more space in us for a deeper sense of well-being. So check it out if you're interested. All right, so let's begin. I want to start with just mentioning that one of the things Steph and I've been talking about recently is that no matter how many years we've worked this way, meeting ourselves, facing what scares us, we still find ourselves circling back around to familiar hard places. That it's not been there, done that, got the t-shirt, that there is a way that as we keep going back in, there's this fine tuning and smaller remnants of things hanging on that we get to work with. And mostly we're always surprised, many of us are, because we always think we've been there, done that, and got the t-shirt, and then here we are again. And so I've been feeling that this month. It's been part of Steph's and my conversations over the month. And so that's the place I'd like to work with this morning, is the places we avoid, and also noticing that when we avoid them, it's the same place, but stuff in us has shifted. We've got more room for it, for acceptance of it. We've got more room for it to not knock us off balance, whatever it is that comes up. And so there's a very circular, spiraling down part of this work that I think is a big part of the healing of it, is coming back and meeting it again, noticing there's been shifts, and also noticing that it may still be hard to meet, but can I give myself a little bit of time with it to see what it's about? So we'll start with sensing. I found a Rumi quote I'd like to share with you, because I feel like really what we're doing a lot of times in this work is working to our fear line of, okay, I'm good. If I don't wake that up, I can stay over here on this side and things will be fine. But there's these possibilities that happen when we meet the fear line and move into it. So while over the month this Rumi quote arrived in my inbox, and so I wanted to share it with you. Fear. How can I move within without moving the way my fear makes me move? So with that, let's start with sensing. I'm going to ask that you Sitting, you can stand. If you want to lay down on your studio floor, feel free. So take a moment to just settle into where you're going to be. You may want to have your eyes closed, breathing naturally. And just sort of as you breathe, really noticing what's happening in your body this morning. Are there places that you're happy to meet and greet? Are there places that you never meet and greet, that you avoid? And just noticing without judgment, without making a plan to go to either of those places, just what that's like to be this mix of embrace and avoidance and appreciation and pushing away. And as you're breathing, the first place I'm going to ask you to meet is one of those places that you're happy to meet. And you'll do that by bringing a hand to that place on your body that just, it feels alive, that it's woken up. And gently placing your hand there, adjusting the pressure as you need to. How much of your hand wants to be there? Just the fingertips, the whole hand. Not doing anything special with your breath, just breathing naturally. And really noticing that place in you that you've worked with, that there is some softening. And appreciating that place. And while you're there, I want you to begin to notice maybe a place that hasn't ever gotten as much attention from you, a place that you avoid, that stirs things up when you even think that there might be some aliveness in that place. And can you bring your hands there gently, respectfully, the same way you did with the place that you were happy to meet? Can I meet this place that seems maybe a little, brings up a little more fear, seems a little more scary? And can I be there just noticing what's moving and not listening to the narrative in my head that tells me why I don't want to go there, that I don't want to be there, that it's too much? So, this is really a meeting of your hands and this place in your body where you don't often go to offer attention, and noticing what arises when you meet that place. Not trying to fix it, not trying to make it better, but just being with it. Maybe you notice a temperature, maybe there's more heat, maybe it's cooler, maybe there's an energy to it, or possibly a numbness. Maybe there's a color. And then, as you're there, what would it be like to start to move within? Like Rumi said, how can you move within without moving the way that the feeling, the avoidance wants to make you move? And can you take that movement to a scribble? And we'll scribble for just a little bit and give some more attention to this place that we're working with. And when you're ready, you can find a good stopping place in your scribble. We'll write. And then after we write, like I said, we'll pause. You're welcome to go back to your scribble or go into your book or your day or your evening, depending when you're watching this. But just know that you can come back into this place. It's always there for you. So the writing this morning is 2 parts. You're welcome to work with both or one, and maybe work with the other one later on in the month or later on in the day. The first question prompt is, what part of me do I still reject? And the second question is, what if this rejected part of me is my superpower? So now's the time to go back to your scribble or into your book if you're going to stay with us. Um, and we're going to pause. So we'll see on the flip side. And we're back after some studio time. So, how was it for you today?
Wow. Well, I think very revealing, although because we've been talking about this, it's been bubbling up anyway. But that question, what part of me do I still reject, has been a big one for me because it's come up lately that a big part of what I reject is my little girl who wants to be seen and heard, I've always been shy, and that's just my nature to be shy and to be quiet. And yet there's this underlying thing that's been there for probably since I popped out, which is, you know, should I be existing, as an adoptee? And I'm just going to sort of let it all hang out today, but as an adoptee, that there was this shame sort of built into everything too. So I just, there's a part of me that doesn't exactly embrace the little girl who wants to be seen and to be heard. But there's another part of me that is growing to love her and understand why. So it's just a lot that came up. And um, it came up that, I have things to say, but I'm not going to say them unless I have space to say them. Like if somebody is talking louder than I am, or they're going to make more noise or whatever, then that's fine. But it's not like I will never probably be flashy, look at me type of, you know what I'm saying, because we've talked
Mm-hmm.
about this too. Yeah. So that's what came up for me. And then I haven't shown my work on this yet, but I really want to show what I did. And um, I I wanted to draw or paint the invisible like little girl, and then the me now who's helping her. Like hopefully you can see that. So
Mm-hmm.
there's the little girl, and she's gray and can barely be seen. And then here's the bigger me, who's
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's how the superpower can happen is when I can grab the hand of this invisible girl, and then we become one. And that's how the superpower happens, although I don't know anything else. That's the only thing that came.
That might be
Yeah.
a good thing too.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you. This has been really good for me.
Yeah, I had. I guess what it surprised me too. I mean, not, that, and I know that this is a place that we've worked with a lot and really recently talked about a lot is loving ourselves as we are, our true nature. Um, because I'm like you, I'm extremely shy and have social anxiety and attachment avoidance and all sorts of stuff. And have worked for a long time on that sense of, do I exist? Do I deserve to be here? Um, and from my working in the somatic neo-Reichian work, realized that's a really early wounding,
Hmm.
and what a theme it has been in my life. Um, do I exist? Am I seen? Um, and certainly haven't felt like it when in a group of six siblings, five siblings and myself. And how do we? I think about how many tests I've taken, and all the stuff is serious, sedate. I mean, it's somber. And I've lived that, and I do think that is. I do believe that's my true nature. It's the overlay of the social anxiety, the overlay of the wounding. about, do I exist?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that
Mm-hmm.
has made those deep knots, internal knots, and the shame that comes with it. So I was surprised today, as much as I've worked with it, to start with the sensing, and I'm aware if I feel like this area of my body is much it's held, but it's much softer than it's ever been. It's, I find myself doing this during the day. It's soothing. But to move to a place that I avoid, and it's what you said the other day is my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And and there is fear that comes up. And usually I move with the fear, go away. Um, so to stay with that, and then to scribble and then to write, the first sentence that came out for me is, I still reject my soft parts.
Wow. Yeah.
I have the way they scared me. It wasn't safe.
Mm-mm.
Um, and so there's this tightness, this hardness that I took on, and it's part of my snarky sense of humor, and it's part of the discord I love. Um, and so the process for me is how to embrace those things, which are also me, but not to have it run by the shame, the the layers of stuff that I put on that arose because I didn't know how to deal with it, the social anxiety, uh, avoidance of attachments, all that stuff, and what I want so much these days is to soften those edges, and it's and I know it's softened. I know there was a time I doubted anything was working, and now I still doubt it, but I know it has, that
Yeah. Yeah.
weird place. Um, but I realize when I come into the softer places, it's like speaking up in a group. It's like allowing a side of myself to be. It makes me feel too vulnerable, and yet at the same time, what I really experienced in all of this is, yeah, there's a bunch of hard edges and there's a big squishy center
Yeah.
that wants. And what if that is my superpower? Not not this hardness that I'm a tough girl and I can tough it out, but that the softness, the vulnerability, the playfulness. I mean, all the stuff that's has so much more juice in it. What would it be like to live from that?
That is, I mean, that is superpower. And I think we're seeing a lot, not a lot, but some people emerging in the popular culture right now that are being very transparent and very vulnerable and very
Mhm.
soft and playful. And I mean, I think that's going to speak to a lot of us. I know it speaks to me. And when you're saying soft, that's the quiet and the shy and the invisible, that's soft. And
Mhm.
you're right, that hardened shell that's been created
Mhm.
to protect that little
Mhm.
soft spot. Oh, yeah.
And I live with them in such, first I'm hard, then I'm soft, and I don't like the hard, and I don't like the soft, and could I really let my if my softness is really my superpower, could I really allow it to temper the hardness and to know that, as those, it's like letting your brilliance and your neurosis merge.
Mm.
If I could let those merge, then I wouldn't have to be so brittle in this hardness that wears me out and always tough and I can handle it. And what if those two were to be merged and me continuing to try to separate. I want to be soft. I don't want to be hard. I want to be soft. I'm not very hard now. I don't want to be soft. But to really allow them to, those places in me, to have a relationship with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice to do a big, really furious scribble.
Mm-hmm.
And then to sit down at my visual journal and just do this really, working with bright orange, but ink, it was so soft and smooth, and going around these shapes with it, and where it would bleed, merge into the hard edges of things I've cut out. And it was so, I guess, so satisfying. That's how I want to live my life.
Yeah, me too.
That's how just deeply here it was in working in the journal. So,
wow.
I'm always moved. I mean, I've spent a lot. I know we've both been doing this work and it's been evolving over years. I'm always so moved when I run into the place where I don't doubt if it's working anymore.
Me too. Yeah, and that's how you, like you said, that you do know it's working. You know that it is. And inevitably the cycles come around and we get to see how we meet them differently. And that shows us how things are changing. And it is working. It's subtly and magically working. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It's and for me, the tough girl I am, it's so much easier for me to work this way than it is to be confronted with it. You know, that it's sort of a slow unwinding and unfolding, and awareness has kind of come in through the back door instead of right there pounding, you got to pay attention to me.
Right.
And so there's really what I'm getting a lot in the work we do regularly and offering these recordings is, you know, we really all are just deeply okay the way we are. And we all have these places that we push away and these places that we embrace. And how I find when I'm not in the mental chatter of it, then that's when I feel like it's cooking together.
Yeah.
And can I trust it to work without my interfering with it?
Trust.
So that's another studio jumpstart session. And we hope you, I want to say enjoy, it sort of seems like the wrong word, but I hope that you work with the prompts that we've given you and that there's some satisfaction, some awarenesses that may float up. Write about it, make art around it, and let it work. Trust that it's work. That's your medicine, and it will work in you.
Yeah.
So, thanks, Steph. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you, Sarah.
And
I guess we'll see everybody next month.
Yep.
All right.
Bye.